Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Big Brain Time Debate Podcast with our special host.
Hi, I'm Ivory.
I'm Ira.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Joey.
And with Kong versus Zilla coming up, I'm sure it's not called that. I think it's King Kong versus Godzilla.
It's Godzilla versus Kong,
versus
actually.
Kong.
It's the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed he's not called King in any of these movies, is he?
No.
Interesting. We are debating who's going to win this fight. There's some ground rules. They're in a populated city island, right at the coast, fighting. Populated city island. The military hasn't gotten involved yet. People are evacuating. And Godzilla has just crawled with his big whale monster belly up onto the coastline. And Kong must protect his new home, the island, from the monster who is coming specifically to eliminate him. I am Team Kong.
As am I.
Team
Godzilla. I think we know it. What Kyle.
If you can't tell, this is my boy.
Baby boy.
And I am very uninitiated and unbiased, so I am just going to be the judge based on arguments alone.
Yes. He's our neutral individual in this debate, and he's an English major, so he is fully prepared to dig into all of our arguments.
Rip apart our
Fantastic.
grammar.
Dig into
Think
the
through the
literary
words.
aspects of these movies, yeah.
Ready to feel as criticized as I do in my AP history class.
Because this is making history.
You know, the second time.
The second time.
As in the second Kong versus Zilla.
Yeah.
All right.
60s.
So,
Okay.
please open Godzilla.
Oh, we're opening. Godzilla is huge. Godzilla, compared to Kong, at least. I think that's our parameters. Is Godzilla just a little bigger than Kong in our parameters?
Yeah, so
There's
because
no-
Kong is going to grow over time, and he's going to
Right.
be pretty big when the movie comes out, then we set Kong at 250 and Zilla at 300 feet.
Okay.
That is.
All right.
Okay. Godzilla is huge, not only in height, but in bulk.
Mm.
He's big. And that immense mass being thrown into an attack could be brutal for a Kong who is just a little bit shorter. Kong is built a little bit lighter than Godzilla, and so I think, and this is just going by I'm starting with physical stats. I think Godzilla could just toss Kong, just throw him off balance, move the fight, keep the momentum of the fight going. He has an advantage with the huge tail. As we saw in Godzilla 2014, that tail can be extremely deadly to anything that gets in its way. The male Muto was destroyed by the tail. And I think in pure mass, Godzilla has the huge attack advantage and defense. Scales, armored scales like a crocodile all along his body. Pretty hard to pierce and get through.
Godzilla, from what we've seen in a lot of the movies, uses his mass as a weapon. Once again, bringing in the argument that Kong is a little bit smaller and a little bit less, I guess you could say, like heavy. Both of them have that advantage of being surprisingly fast for how large that they are. But when you combine both of them and Zilla's incredible mass with both of their speeds, I feel like Zilla would gain an advantage that way.
For sure.
So you guys have argued from, I'm going to rebuttal this a little bit. You guys have argued from Godzilla's mass and the tail, the tail and the speed, that's really formidable. But most of his mass seems to be in his big old tummy. He's just, if you think about his arms, he's got little dinosaur arms. His head is up here, He doesn't have pecs, King Kong, he can move around that weight quickly. Godzilla is just kind of trying to lug himself around. I
Yeah.
just say we are arguing from weight, but it doesn't look like a lot of that has distributed into arm muscle. It looks like most of that is for leg muscle for swimming. We are on the coastline though.
Truth. And if Godzilla were to get Kong into the water, that's his element. And that could be extremely deadly for Kong to be in. But since we're sticking to land, Kong does have that speed, agile advantage in this fight.
I will say though,
However, oh, keep going, Seth. Sorry.
we said coastline. That doesn't mean that we're strictly confined to land here.
Right. And we did see in the trailer a little bit, there will be a fight in the new movie out in the open water. So I guess we'll see how that goes for Kong in the middle of like a giant crocodileville. So,
I have a question, but I don't really want to ask because I feel like it's going to come off as like biased. I'm not biased, but like, what would happen if Godzilla somehow got knocked over? I mean, I'm imagining this like a life alert situation. Get back up.
Yeah, he falls over a lot, and it's sad. It takes him a while to get back up. It does take, so Kong could have the advantage while he's down.
Well, considering we're on the coastline, couldn't he roll over into the water and get himself up that way?
He could roll over.
Yeah.
He could use the spines on his back for defense.
I mean, he's shaped like a bowling pin. So if he did have to roll over, that'd be pretty easy for him. I think too, though, if you did, because I mentioned his mass mostly seems to be down, right? He's thick. And if you hit him, I think even if you hit him pretty hard from the top, it'd be hard to knock him out. I feel like you just boing, 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 you know?
So I have to ask Team Kong, what does Kong have that can really do damage to Godzilla?
Blow him away, Ira.
Well, in comparing the two, I do believe that Godzilla naturally has a lot more to offer against King Kong, versus the other way around, because he's got more mass, and yeah, he could get knocked over, but with the tail and everything, he'd actually be kind of hard to knock over. And of course, he has the atomic breath, and just very hard scales that would be very hard to get through. However, the thing Kong has are opposable thumbs, and clearly the knowledge and intelligence to use items to his advantage. Even in your picture, even in your background, Kyle, you can I believe you can kind of see that Kong, is grabbing stuff. And
He's grabbing an electrical wire by the looks of it.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the
Okay.
big advantage Kong has over Godzilla, is that he can use tools. Like, again, in the recent trailers, we're not like trying to, try to predict what the outcome of the movie is going to be, but you also see him like wielding I believe it was like an axe or something, or at least something in his hands that he was using to block the atomic breath. So from my standpoint is that, like, yeah, because Kong can use basically use tools to fight, then he'll have a better time beating Godzilla, because how have we weak old humans taken over the Earth? We barely have many natural advantages, but we can use tools. So I'd say, tool using for the win.
Yeah, and I did look into what that axe was. I don't know if we should bring this into the debate because it feels really OP, but
It does seem really OP.
Yeah,
For
I wasn't going to mention
For
it in
our
detail.
guidelines, it does seem really OP.
yeah, it's one of Godzilla's scales.
Which begs the question: how did he rip it out? That's gotta hurt.
Turned it into a battle axe, and electrified it with Godzilla's own breath. That is metal as heck.
It's cool. So, well, while we're on the topic, let's bring the elephant in the room, so to speak, into this. The atomic breath itself, pure nuclear atomic energy focused into a beam. I think that's the thing that would end this fight, if Godzilla had the time and energy to use it. Kong might not give him that, But if he's able to land, like 5 good hits with that, Kong, I don't know if Kong can stand it.
Mhm.
As we've seen, it's able to decapitate monsters heads off. It's able to knock a 3-headed dragon like across the city. It's able to like, not only can Godzilla shoot it, Godzilla can emit it from his body in a pulse and melt everything around him. So it's, can Kong find a way to either equalize or negate it enough to stay alive before Godzilla can land that killing blow? And I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can do it long enough.
I have another question that I genuinely don't know. How did their intellects match up?
Here is Kong's biggest advantage by far.
Yeah.
Especially in this particular universe. So
He's a
in
lot smarter.
Oh yes. I don't know if you want to expound upon that for me.
No, I think you can do it.
Big monkey brain, big monkey thinky brain. Of course, like in Kong Skull Island, especially, you see him thinking, having emotions, like thinking through how to fight. And Godzilla's more instinctual. I wouldn't say he's not smart, because you definitely see like a streak. There's an intelligent streak, but it's usually after time, because Godzilla's, as Kong would think, I think Kong is more to strategizing and thinking. Godzilla is just more persistent, just keep pounding away, and if he notices something that works, he'll go with it. But it's more just never let the enemy have a turn to attack.
It's kind of like how you could describe like a normal predator's instinct. Like, maybe they don't have like a active strategizing in their head, but they definitely do have this sort of mental processes of being on the hunt and what they need to do, what works for them depending on their body versus their prey.
And I'd say, just have something to say?
Yeah, to add on to the whole thing, you said that he can feel emotions. Emotions can mess you up when you're in a fight really badly. And while he has the ability to think, he can make decisions, I guess, more rationally in a way than Zilla can, but that could also mess him up. He could make a decision, he could look at something and think that it's going to work, and it doesn't. While Zilla has the things that, if he happens to find something, that's what he's going to use, but he has things that he knows works, and so he's going to keep using them.
Yeah. I would say, though, we're talking about intelligence. Because the big thing is that both of them are kind of monster hunters in a way, despite being monsters themselves. We repeatedly see him, even in every carnation of King Kong, he's on an island filled with dinosaurs and knows how to rip into them. Godzilla's kind of just a big dinosaur. He's way tougher, but there's one particular moment that I really love in Kong Skull Island where something is chained to his arm, and he looks and he realizes it's attached to a motor. So then he rips it off and uses the motor as a makeshift weapon. So the fact that he has the strength to turn his environment and to weaponize it. So he's right on the coastline. So if there's boats or things like that, he can weaponize them really fast.
Exactly. He can pick up a large, freighter and then go full Pacific Rim and just smack him with the head like it's a baseball bat.
Yeah. Because Zilla's kind of, I think the closest to intelligence we get from Zilla more has to do with, I've grabbed one, now how do I rip it apart kind of thing? Or more like...
Well, when he was fighting the flying Muto or whatever, when it's curving around to get him, he kind of sneers at it, turns, like giving it an open target to attack, and then just slams it with his tail.
Oh, that's true. Was that...
So he kind of strategized that a little bit.
I didn't think that was intentional on his part to trick the monster.
It just looked like it from the movie. I'm trying to think, is there another time he ambushed Ghidorah, the 3-headed dragon, Ghidorah was distracted by something, and Godzilla was in the water, almost like a crocodile, leaps up and drags Ghidorah into the water and proceeds, having ambushed it, proceeds to rip it to shreds as much as he can.
Okay.
But some intelligence enough to set up ambushes, but Kong definitely has the advantage in thinking and strategizing during the fight. Godzilla just more relies on instinct, and then if he notices that something works, he'll use it.
Yeah. I think maybe a good comparison would be the intelligence of like a lion versus the intelligence of, I'd say, above the average intelligence of a gorilla or a monkey. I'd say Kong's probably smarter than that in this universe.
Yeah, he's definitely got that higher level thinking. I don't think he's like maybe not quite equivalent with humans, but definitely close enough to yeah.
Tons of monster
Something
fighting.
more along the lines of how chimpanzees are, I guess.
All the animal rights activists are screaming right now.
Basically, I would say he's more in between that, because like chimpanzees can only go up to like a 3-year-old's level. I'd say Kong can go a little bit higher than that, but again, not like a full human adult.
And
Does Kong have the capacity to love? Isn't there a female love interest in these movies?
If Fay Ray was still around, we could put her in this movie.
Because I always see Kong like, with the woman, he's kidnapped the woman.
Kong is a chimpanzee.
I'd like to bring up the maneuverability of Kong. Because Godzilla, if there's a building, he either walks through it or he kind of walks around it and then breaks half of it with his arm,
Mm-hmm.
Kong is pretty famous for being able to sort of scale skyscrapers and maybe even leap between skyscrapers. So, I mean, that's
a steel jungle.
Yeah, steel jungle, exactly. So that'd be the biggest thing with his like if he's trying to evade Godzilla's attacks, especially the plasma attacks. That's his big kind of advantage, is he can always kind of go for cover, but also kind of scale buildings and get distance without having to even run on the ground.
Is in that sense, though, are we working more into the city away from the coast? Because I feel like the argument could also be made, if it moved from the coast toward the ocean, then Godzilla would have the advantage. Where if they're moving further into the city, where, I don't know, there's not like typically skyscrapers around the coast, are there?
Yeah.
Maybe there
I mean, there
no.
are, but
I guess it has to do with that's an interesting question. Who would lead who in this fight? Because I think the way we set it up is Zilla is going to kill Kong. Kong's defending the city, and he cares about
him and himself.
So he might go further into the city a little
I
bit.
say that. Oh, maybe he'll but the thing is, you said that Kong wants to protect the city, so he'll probably want to lead Zilla away from the city so that it doesn't get harmed. So they'll probably be heading more towards the water, which then, Zilla gets an advantage.
So do we want to like summarize or?
I can summarize my Ivory, you go first if you want to summarize.
What were my points? I think my points were just piggybacking off yours.
I mean, I can like sum up the way I'm understanding it right now, and then you can make corrections if you want.
Ooh.
That
I mean, the way
works.
I'm seeing it, like in a power stance, it definitely seems like King Kong is the underdog, because Godzilla is bigger, has more mass, and also that atomic breath. King Kong, on the other hand, seems more agile, possibly smarter, can use tools. So yeah, it almost, like if I were going to say one is the underdog, I would think King Kong is kind of the underdog. And I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna predict like how the movie's gonna turn out. Although I know the underdog victory is definitely a Hollywood thing. But I don't know. Am I summing that up decently?
That's pretty good sum up.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I would kind of push against is that you said Kong's possibly smarter. I'd say almost his intelligence and his quick thinking with fighting is almost a defining trait of this version of Kong. Quickly making tools and strategizing and so forth.
I would probably add on that environment definitely impacts this fight. If we get into the water, Zilla has an advantage. If we get more into the city, Kong has the advantage.
I was gonna say that. I think if it gets anywhere near the water, Kong is in trouble. But yeah, I mean, he can probably swim as a monkey, but not probably as good as Godzilla could. So I think that's really important.
Joey, give us your
Okay.
verdict.
So like I said, I feel like on the strength and stuff, King Kong is an underdog, but I'm trying to say that this isn't like personally that I would value intellect over word, but I do think a point was made too that humans have triumphed because of their intellect and their ability to use tools and stuff. Whereas Godzilla seems more like a traditional monster, definitely acting on instinct. But I think I have to go with Kong just because the being able to think around and like strategize a bit more, and also I just feel like it would be more satisfying as an underdog triumphing type of a thing. It feels like a high school cliche, like you got the big tough bully guy and then like the more intelligent kid that's gonna like outthink him.
That kid has been taking karate for 4 years and hasn't told anybody.
Yeah, that. So that's where I have to land. Hopefully that was somewhat objective. I was just trying to go off the arguments, but you guys all made good points. So
Perhaps Godzilla is not king of the monsters. Perhaps Kong shall be king.
Maybe it'll finally
Listen
be in
his
a
name.
movie title.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the king will finally be in a movie. Yeah.
Maybe that's what they've been setting up this whole time, because they've been calling it, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and then just Kong variations.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear my actual prediction for what's going to happen?
Yeah, please go for it.
Sure.
I don't know who's going to win. There's probably going to be a definitive winner, but I think somehow Godzilla is going to fall into a volcano or some kind of like fault line or something, get trapped in the earth, not die, but like fall into the earth, because that typically happens. And then Kong's just going to be up on land being like, oh, okay. And then they'll tease like, oh, well, Godzilla will come back or something. I don't know. That's my thought. What's going to happen? Like, I don't know. Like, one of them will win. I don't know who, but something's going to happen where Godzilla falls into the earth, and then Kong is just kind of left barely alive. That's my guess.
See, what I think is actually going to happen is that it doesn't matter who, but one of them is going to be beaten down, and then all I have to do is just say the name Martha.
Martha.
My prediction is he's going to go
What
in
is
with the
his name?
axe that has Godzilla's scale in it, stab him in the shoulder, and then Godzilla's going to look at him and say his first words, "You should have gone for the head." And then Godzilla is just going to let out a giant blast that wipes out half the population, and then King Kong is going to have to time travel.
And then it's going to get taken down by Disney for copyright.
And then Mecha Godzilla will show up.
Yeah, everybody's been theorizing that now.
No, not Mecha Godzilla. We'll just have Mecha King Ghidorah come out of the future and then wipe everybody out.